Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the classroom. This evening, we're going to talk about the rest of the annotations. We have the leader and the attribute to be talking about. And these two are pretty interesting because they contribute more towards a better organized and informed drawing or draft. So, as usual, the 12-minute timer is ready and the classroom is ready as well. And let's begin. Okay, so after learning about dimensioning, leaders are sort of, uh, they're like dimensions but using text. So, for example, let's draw something really quickly here. Like, for example, we have a let's say this is an elevation of a house. Let's create the roof like that and like that. So say we wanted to identify the finish of the roof in here. Instead of just writing it down, we want an arrow that would show us what we are really talking about. And the way that we invoke that is by um, using a leader. A leader uses LE as its first two letters, so we use that. And then it shows us here, specify the first leader point. We want it to be here. And then next leader point, let's remove the orthographic lock and place it here. And then the next leader point, this will point directly to the note that we want. So let's place it here. And then it wants us to now identify the text width. And 0 by default is okay. So we just say enter to that. And then now we can create a multi-line text that will align with the current style that we have in this drawing. So let's say shingles. Let's just go with shingles. And then if we have another line of text that we want, like let's say they're concrete in nature. And then if we have another or no more, you just press enter again to tell the computer CAD that there's no more text to be written. And then we end up with an annotation that says concrete shingles with an arrow over here. So what's wrong with this drawing is it's too big for our current text style because we just randomly drew it on there. So I suppose the more appropriate size would have been maybe, let's turn this down to like just 20% of the original. And then move all the leader points so that would look nicer over on a drawing. So something to that effect. That is definitely better. Now, apart from the leader, as I talked about before, we have attributes. Attributes are different because they behave like a form that you need to fill out. So the best way is to show you, and attributes are invoked by using the first three letters instead of two. Before it was two, now it's ATT will invoke the attribute definition window, And this means that we're creating a, a sort of questionnaire for this particular attribute. So the tag cannot have spaces there. Let's just say, let's create an attribute for the label of this elevation, which is the front elevation. So say the tag is drawing name, okay, uh, and then the prompt is name of drawing. If that doesn't make sense, the prompt only tells the user of the attribute what is it that should be input in here. And then we put a default value, this is the third, like say, let's say plan, or generic, as generic as you can be. And so we have a few more options here if we want it. You don't really need to define any of these modes. But we can identify the particular style that we want and a text height that we want. So if this is standard and it's 2.5, let's say we want a double that size. Let's say the text height is 5. Justify to the left always, and then it uses the standard text style, and then say okay. See, now we have a drawing name item here. This is the attribute tag. So how attributes are used is in conjunction with some other elements. Like for example, let's create something like this, which will give us we can identify the drawing name here. And then this is the universal drawing symbol, drawing indicator that we'll be using here. And we want to be blocking this. We haven't gone through block command yet, but we will for the purposes of this discussion. Block is denoted by B, and it makes a group that is, if you change elements within that group and that group has been copied, or that block, this block has been copied over multiple areas or times, all of them would reflect the change. However, attributes will not change along with the changes that you made to the block. Okay, so let's block this first so we can understand attributes better. So block it, B, and then let's call it drawing tag. And then specify a base point. You should get into the habit of identifying the base point because it's pretty important. If you don't, sometimes when you insert blocks, you don't know where they might end up. So let's just choose the middle of the circle here. So that will be the base point of this tag. And then we want it to convert to block after this command. So when we say okay, what happens is this window pops up. And as you can see, there are a lot of other lines here, and all of these can have different attributes on them. So right now we just have the one attribute here. And then it's asking us for the name of the drawing, which is, let's say this is the front elevation instead of plan. So as you can see, it changed. But if we copy it over, we can change this attribute without without it having an effect on the older one. Otherwise, if this were a normal text and it is part of a block, we change that. This one will change also. So let's redefine this attribute. And as you can see, by double clicking on it, we can already change the value. So let's say we are going to create a right side elevation for the next drawing. It reflects on there, and then say okay. So these are two different blocks with the same attribute but different values. If you need to differentiate it from text, let's edit this. Let's try and edit this block here. By using the attribute edit command ATE. Nope, that's not it. I think this calls for bedit. Okay, so bedit works. Let's try select it and use bedit. Okay, so bedit basically means block edit, and we want to edit that. So this window pops up when you command bedit and you're holding the particular block. And when you say okay, when you go into the block editor, you can see that it still is an attribute here. And we can put a text here and let's do it like this and say scale, because we need a scale here. And we want this, because this is a text, a static one, we can change attributes of it on the fly. And then what did I command? Scale factor 0.5. So right now this scale, okay, that's 12 minutes, but we'll just finish this. Scale, let's put it here. And then let's create another attribute over on this side here, ATT. And then let's tag it drawing scale, current scale, or scale of drawing. Default, let's say it's 1:100. And the justification, let's move it to the right side because we want that we will stick it to the end of the line, and then whatever change we apply to it, it will not be different, its positioning. So let's change the text height to 2.5 because I think this is what we're using right here. And then standard text style, let's say okay. And so we have drawing scale over here. And you can see that when I put it down, it aligned itself to the right side. I want to be as accurate as possible when placing this. And say that's good enough. Let's close this editor and save the changes to drawing tag, which means this block will apply to the other block that we already have created because we copied it over a while ago. So as you can see, we don't have values for the attribute that we created there. Let's see if we can, oh, it's not there anymore. So I'm not sure why it didn't let us do that. Maybe because we were inside of the block editor. So what we want to do is, this is the one that I was talking about before. So it followed the what we did here, except for the additional attribute that was not created. Let's try that one more time. Edit, select it, and then embed it. Huh. So drawing scale is there, but it's not appearing. It's supposed to show up. Maybe it's too big. Yes. Changes again. Is it too big? I don't think so. Let's insert this particular block and find out. Okay, so the insert dialog is floating around. Let me just bring it to the screen. So it's here. And then we have a drawing tag here. Let's insert that. There we go. Now we have the scale of the drawing here as well. So when we say OK to that, this is how that would look like. Let's just remove these two earlier ones and then move this up. So we can change here. We have the ability to change both of them, but this scale remains the same because it is a standard text. So that's basically how attributes are created and used. And of course, leaders. And that basically wraps up our annotative commands. So we've gone through entities, operations, toggles, and annotations. And that's a lot already. So it's a bit long, but I hope you understood how important attributes are with this one. And then I'll see you guys next meeting. All right, take care and see you.